on YouTube. So now we are live. Welcome, 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 everybody. This is the after show. I am your host, Melissa Lambert, and I am so excited to just be able to come. Okay, sorry. Gosh. So I am excited to be here on today, on Wednesday, on Thursday on Women Emerge with Melissa Lambert on the radio show. We had these phenomenal ladies that really graced the platform. And after listening to the Wednesday and the Thursday show, we decided we're going to do another show. We're going to do after the show. So this is the aftermath, right? And we have the honor to have three. We're bringing in Dr. Sharana is coming in soon, but no,
Dr. Shanika.
Dr. Shanika. What did I say? Come on
Sharana.
now. Dr. Shanika, come on. Is gonna come in for us. So we're gonna have all the ladies reintroduce themselves, not the lengthy one that we did on Wednesday and Thursday. If you did not hear that, please go back to the to our podcast and hear their full blown introduction. But we have Monica, we have Juanika, we have Sharon, and we're going to talk, y'all. I mean, the after show to me is going to be exciting. So, who wants to start us off to kind of talk about who they are and tell us a little bit about yourself? Nothing long and drawn, but they already heard a little bit about you guys anyway. So, I love Purple Rain. I am just so loving your your logo. It just matches really in everything that you have on. So, let's start with Sharon, and then we're going to go right into we can go to Juanika and then Monica, if that's okay.
Yes, sure. I am Sharon from Baltimore, currently living outside of Houston, Texas. And my Purple Rain, of course, is from Prince, but also I use rain because it means royalty, right? I wanted to remind everyone that we are indeed royalty. So that's why I like that. And that is my private practice. I am a licensed professional counselor, and I'm excited to be a part of this project called Women of Color, a collection of stories behind the shade.
Yes, yes. Thank you. Right? So, Juanika, tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am a coach, I'm a mentor, and I'm a police officer. I just try to help kids get better, give them some direction, and also just thrive in life.
Love it. Love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for all that you do. Our young people need you. So we appreciate just all the things that you're doing within the community at large. So Monica, come on, close us in.
I'm Monica, of course. I am a hospice medical social worker. I am the founder and visionary of a women's group called Women of Truth that was established in 2014. The group is women who get together. Sometimes once in a blue moon, we had invited men, but we try to keep it limited to the women, where we have a platform where we're able to just unveil, take off the mask, because we all wear multiple masks daily. So we provide a platform where women can come together and just share their, most intimate parts with each other. And it's very enjoyable. We love it. We're going to be getting back into it very soon. COVID kind of put a little halt on it, but we improvised a little bit. We're doing some things. So we're going to get back into it with being live again in the same room. But however, I love what I do. I love empowering, motivating, encouraging women from all walks of life to just be their authentic self.
Wow. That's it. So amazing. And you were the actual visionary of this book, this project. And I see that Dr. Shanika is here. So Dr. Shanika, if you are able to, we are introducing ourselves real quick before we dive into the after show aspect of it. So if you can go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself. I don't know if she can hear us. I don't think we could hear her. So We're going to wait for a few seconds and then
Oh,
there
there
you
she
go.
is.
There she is.
Oh, I am loving your hair. Now we can't hear you.
Yeah, I think she's talking.
Oh, who's that?
That's does anybody, Miss Tucker? We have a
Oh, that's
guest.
Arvis, my friend.
Oh, hi, Elvis.
Hi, Arvis. So as Dr. Shanika get her mic together, I'm going to go around the room and I'm going to go straight to Juanika because Juanika gave when she came after Wednesday show went live on the radio. I was on the phone with Monica, and then Monica put in Juanika on the phone, and Juanika was just so excited. She was like, "Wait, my phone was blowing up. I was in practice, and I can't even concentrate. I mean, I really must have over 80 texts. So I want you to express to us the after show. This is the after show. Welcome, Miss Tucker, for being here. We truly appreciate you as one of our guests. So Juanika, tell us your experience and what was your family, what were they feeling like? How did they express themselves about the show, the first show that we went live on Wednesday?
So I was actually at basketball practice when the show aired, and so I couldn't log in, but my phone just kept going off, going off, going off, and I was trying to look at it, but I really couldn't look at the text message. When I went back in, I had family who tuned in and was giving feedback, and they were just showing like a lot of support, pride, just encouragement, and I just really appreciated them taking the time to log in and then to give me feedback. It was like instantaneous as the show was going on. They were actually texting during the show, giving feedback, and it was wonderful. So I really, really appreciate everybody, like just tuning in and then just giving the feedback. I mean, this is a level of vulnerability, with being able to go public and go forward with this project. So it was really nice to have family and friends. My old high school basketball coach, he sent me messages both nights, not just the first night, it was both of them. So it was really great just to have that support from people far and wide.
That's amazing. And when I saw the screenshot of your coach, I was like, wow, so thank you so much. And how did you, I know that when you had a chance to re-listen to the Wednesday, you actually listened to it on Thursday. What was your opinion? Like, I mean, how did you feel hearing everybody speak, us coming together? You're part of the conversation. How did that make you feel at that moment, listening to it on Thursday?
So initially, I thought that it was going to sound like nervous, like the nervousness that was anybody had was going to show forward. But it was so much fun. Like I really enjoyed just the dialogue and just being able to recap everything and to share, my perspective just individually and to hear everybody else's as well. So it was a lot of fun. I'm gonna listen to it again and again and again. And there was a lot of tidbits that was given from each person. Sharon gave some good stuff. Monica, Dr. Shanika. So it was just really good. I feel like these interviews that we've had kind of brought the group even closer together. So I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I'm gonna keep listening to it. I'm not gonna listen to it every day. I'm not gonna promise that I'm not going to, but I'm gonna listen to it often.
But even what you just said, I don't remember who said it after the recording. We had our own little conversation after the recording on that Sunday, and one of you ladies said, I enjoy the process of the book, but this interview, us coming together on this radio, really, I learned so much about each other. So I'm not sure who said it. Was it you, Sharon?
It was Dr.
Shanika.
Y'all can hear me now.
Yes, I can hear you. The doctor is in the building. Okay.
But so after we had our powwow, that was one of the statements that I had made, that it was because it was an experience. Like, if we ever do a behind the scenes, it was an experience, and I can definitely tell on myself, it wasn't easy. It was rough. And during the process, and for us to click so much with the interview, it was
Mhm.
like, it was almost like we never planned this project out for like a whole year and some change.
Mhm.
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 It was
Yeah.
like a rebirth. It was literally like a rebirth of the whole project, the concept and everything.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. I
Mhm.
felt, I mean, again, I wasn't in the beginning stage of the project, but just to feel the energy behind this, how, I mean, and I felt like, okay, Monica knows how rigid I am and scheduled I am, because she witnessed me doing it with her on her own session. But I'm like, these ladies don't know me. And I'm giving out all this homework assignment and what we need to do. And I'm like, they must think I'm crazy, but I am OCD. So I have to have things in a specific order. And just to see that y'all didn't drop the ball, y'all was on target. It was just such a smooth transition in the questions. Everything just flowed. So I'm gonna ask Sharana. Sharon. Sharon, please tell us, how did it feel hearing yourself talk on this radio? Like, I mean, how did you feel?
Well, nobody likes the sound of their own voice.
I don't.
But, it wasn't bad. This was my first radio interview experience. And, you spoke about being rigid. And I think I mentioned to you that I actually appreciated the rigidity because it provided structure. I knew what to do. I knew what to expect. So for me, it allowed things to go very smoothly. So I appreciate that. But just to hear myself talk, yeah, that was different.
But one thing I remember in our conversation, you said something. This conversation could bring up a lot of trauma in
Yes.
all of it. You call it a name. You call. I would say the backlash part of it. Or you said something. It's like a hangover. Did you say something about hangover? Something.
Yes.
It's called emotional hangover.
Right, coined by
Correct.
Brene Brown, and it's
Yeah.
emotional hangover. So a lot of clients or people who are going through group therapy, when you start sharing a lot, even after the fact, or if you're in one of these type of settings, you tend to still have that hangover or that layover of feelings after
Mhm.
you're finished the talking, because now you're open, right? So you started to peel back some layers, you started digging deeper than you've ever dug before. And so now you're open. A lot of people become weepy. They become sometimes a little irritable because they've touched some things that was taboo before, right? Or there were some things that they may have forgotten about that made them angry. So now all these things have risen to the surface, and they have to now process it. And when you're left alone to process these things, you don't always know what to do with it. So it shows up like you're looking irritable, or it shows up like you're being weepy or crying, and for some people, even they may experience some depression, some symptoms of depression. But it's because all of these things, or the layers of the trauma, have been peeled back, and they don't know what to do with it after the fact. So what I recommend is, when you're in these type of settings, or it's important to maybe journal what you're feeling, get in touch with it. Don't try to suppress it, because what you resist will persist. So you want to try to journal.
Good.
You want to maybe share with someone what you're feeling, maybe talk to a therapist. Also, all of that is energy, right? So the energy has to go somewhere. And a lot of times I will recommend my clients to just go walk, shake it out, exercise, or, just move to get rid of that excess energy. And that oftentimes will help. Deep breathing will help.
Yeah. So did any of you ladies feel this way during the interview process after the show went live Wednesday and Thursday? Did anyone feel the same, the sense of anxiety, overwhelmed, any feeling came up from just knowing that, wow, I mean, not only is the book out there, but now my story is truly out there? Is anyone can relate to anything that in that sense?
I can say it's different when you're writing a story. But it feels even more different when you hear the story, right? And so for me, hearing the ladies made me feel a certain type of way, because I know that I played such a huge role in what they were experiencing and what they were feeling, based off of, like I said, my light skin privilege. And I know that for a fact. I didn't know it then, but I know it like 1000% now, that I played a role in their hurt and their pain. So hearing their stories out loud made me feel, it was a little emotional, like almost like teary-eyed. I was like, wow, like I can't believe I played a part in what they are experiencing and what they were going through, and even sometimes what they feel now, you know. So I felt I felt remorseful, you know, and I felt like I wanted to hug them through the phone, but I couldn't. But it was hard for me to hear their truth and to know that I was a part of them feeling the way that they felt and feel. So that was very, and that's a hard truth, you know, when you're real with yourself, which I usually am. I do self evaluations all the time in reference to myself and my own emotions and my own feelings and what I'm processing, for myself. So that was tough to hear, but it was necessary, you know, because again, I felt like I was being just educated all over again. Like, this is a real thing. It probably didn't have a name to it. Like Monica said, you know, before the name came up in the 80s, nobody knew colorism, but we surely had a form of it in the way that we act, in the way that we talk, in the way that we treated one another. You know, we just didn't know it was a name associated with it. You know? So yeah.
So now that we talked about colorism, how does it feel to have this topic being discussed now? No, I mean, after hearing what Monica just said, after us talking on Wednesday and Thursday, any one of you ladies, how does it feel now that we're now about to bring this topic more out? Not saying that it hasn't been talked about before, but you're reintroducing a topic such as colorism to the world. How does it feel now knowing that you ladies are doing it in this season of your life?
I think it's definitely still a process, because, you know, even when you hear Monica say how it brought up some emotions about the role that she played and things like that, one of the things that we talked about behind the scenes was about suppressing. So the fact that we normalized it, you know, we normalized it, we overlooked it, we suppressed it until now, you know, we're full grown and we're writing a book and we're writing our chapters. And it's like, oh crap, like that's what was really going on. And when you get to the root of it, you're like, oh my goodness, like racism never ended. You know, it just was many different forms, many different platforms of it, many different band-aids on top of band-aids. Like, it never really went anywhere, no matter how much we try to say that it did. And we don't see color when it comes to relationships and all of this other, you know, we try to cover up so much and we're not covering up nothing. It's still here. It still exists. It's still present. It's still relevant. And it like I tell people about normalized dysfunction, we just normalized colorism.
True. Wow. We normalize colorism. Sharon, I mean, in your practice, I remember, I'm not sure when you shared this story, but you talked about a group of 20 plus people. Was it, you're talking about your group and how they couldn't even put that conversation when they wanted to, when you're asking who feel beautiful, right? Was it that conversation you were having?
I
Or
asked who love themselves.
love
Who can
themselves. There you
say
go.
you love yourself? It was over 20 people and no one raised their hand. And even in individual therapy, a lot of times I'll ask women specifically, well, do you love yourself? And they'll look at me strange. Do I love myself? And then there's a long pause. And then they'll say, I don't know.
Yeah.
Right. So, and I have clients who have been fed this story that I'm not good enough because I'm not light enough or I'm not dark enough. But, we don't talk about it as much. We talk about it from the other opposite end of the light skinned person perpetuating the trauma to a darker skin. But the light skinned person is experiencing trauma too.
True.
But because of their light skin, people automatically assume that they think that they're better than. Automatically. Everyone does not feel that way. So sometimes it can be hard for lighter skinned people to form relationships, or they have to go through it a little bit more difficult manner because, there's this perception that, oh, she thinks she's all of that. And it could be the furthest thing from the truth. And I say that because it's before the person has even given you an inkling. They could just walk in the room. Yeah. Oh, she thinks she all that. Well, she hasn't even said anything. She hasn't done anything other than walking in the room because of the way that history has shown up that this seems to be a truth that may be the furthest thing from it.
Wow. And even you saying that with your group of 20, right? I know, Juanica, when you're in when we were in our interview, you talk about boys, the difference between the boys and the girls. Girls will be the ones more likely thinking about changing their skin, not the boys. So what Sharon just spoke about, how does that relate to the young people that you service on a daily basis?
So young people do experience colorism. For boys, or males, it's more of, if you're light skinned, you're soft. If you're dark skinned, you're tough, you're hard, you can handle a lot more. Which we know that's not true. I'm also a DARE instructor, and part of my DARE lesson is for people to go around and find something positive about themselves. Just say one thing that's positive, because as we know, we're very critical of ourselves. And you say something, ask somebody, what do you want to change about yourself? Or what do you not like about yourself? You got to stop them. Like, okay, that's enough. You ain't got to say no more. But when it comes down to something positive about yourself, sometimes it's a struggle. I had one of my lessons that I had where a student became really, really emotional, and I didn't even understand what was going on. And I took some time to step into the hallway and have a conversation with her. And she was like, there's nothing good about me. I don't have anything that's good. And it broke my heart because I'm talking about a beautiful, smart young lady who couldn't find one thing, just one thing that she was proud about of herself or that she liked about herself. So it's something that we have to do to help them understand that you have a lot of great things about you, and to highlight those things and to, be proud of them. Sharon mentioned Brene Brown, and I'm a big fan of Brene Brown. And she talks about like shame resilience. And so for me, us talking about colorism, not hiding it, not trying to act like it does not exist. When you bring it to surface, it takes the shame away. Like Monica was very vulnerable with sharing some of the things that she said or thought about different tones, complexions, etc. But that's what takes the shame away from it. When you're willing to say, you know what, so there's something that I said or did that was wrong, or that it wasn't right, it wasn't kind, or whatever the case was, or I was just really misinformed, and you bring it to light, then it takes the guilt piece of it away. And we know that guilting somebody to do something, or feel a certain way, or to act in a certain manner doesn't work, because they'll do it for the moment, and then when nobody's watching, then your true self will surface. But when it comes down to you really taking the, hey, look, it was a mistake, or hey, I did it on purpose, but to bring it to light and bring it to surface, then taking the shame away from it is what gives you the resilience to be able to have the conversations, the tough conversations, and to move on and to grow from it. But if we continue to act like it doesn't exist, my grandmother she didn't call it colorism, she called it color craze. And she would say, if people are trying to treat somebody a certain type of way because of their complexion or whatever, or you prefer something, it's like a preference, thinking someone is better, it's, you being color crazed. And so that's how I understood it to be, growing up. So it is very important, I think, to make sure that we, one, empower our young people and let them know you got a lot of great qualities. Most of them you haven't even tapped into yet. You got a lot more time to go. And then when it comes down to, making misinformed decisions or conversation, that when you know better, then again, you do better.
Wow. When you know better, you can do better. It's so true. And I mean, I want to bring Dr. Shanika in this conversation because of her her family background. You were very vulnerable to tell us about your family, your girls, and the difference in you raising a biracial, a child, a mixed child, and a child that is a little bit dark, a little bit chocolate, on a browner side of the scale, right? How, like, listening to what Juanika just shared about how the importance of us really talking about that with our young people. How do you bring that conversation in your home and make sure that your girls, see that it happens, one may get a bit higher, you said it, where one will get the pass and the other don't. So how do you balance that in your home per se?
So So, in meeting me, I don't know if anyone could tell, I'm gonna give it to you straight, no chaser type of person. So, even in parenting, I needed to let my kids know that it's not okay, it's not acceptable. I'm not putting a band-aid over it and pacifying it and overlooking it. So, I would call it out. If I saw it, if I heard it, I would say what it is, because a lot of times in homes, we dismiss things without dismissing them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
We overlook things because we don't want to say it this type of way, or whatever the case may be. Tiptoe around. I can't tiptoe around nothing. Like I can't tiptoe around it. You're my child. All of y'all are my children. I love all of y'all. I don't care what color you are. You could be green, purple, orange. But what we're not gonna do is there's not gonna be no favoritism. I don't want to hear you talking about because I'm light skinned, and then I don't want to hear you talking about because I'm dark skinned. Like, I just didn't want to hear it. And anytime I heard it, it would irritate me. And a lot of times I didn't verbalize it the right way. I might not have, because of what I dealt with growing up. So when I saw it, it irritated me. I said something like straight up. And sometimes I was like, well, they are children. I could have said it a little softer. But I needed them to know it's not okay, because I want to correct you in the house, because when you go outside, I'm not going to be there. So if somebody trying to knock your head off because you think you yellow and you cute with long hair and you want to treat people a certain kind of way, what am I going to do if I'm not there to protect you? So I need to make sure you get it straight in this house. And then even with my darker child, I had to be a little different with her. You know, I had to install in her, because a lot of times dark skinned women don't feel beautiful. So I had to constantly, you know, let her know you're pretty, you're beautiful. I love
Mm.
your hair, because she would always want straight hair because her sister had different type of hair. You know, she
Mhm.
had a different texture. So she's wondering why she got this texture and I got this texture, but I want this texture. I want a perm. We tried the perm. I told my daughter before I gave her the perm, I don't think you need a perm. You know, you don't. And what happened? All of her hair fall out.
Wow.
So now, on top of dealing with skin color differences, now
Mhm.
I'm dealing with hair texture differences and hair
Wow.
length differences. So I was just dealing with it all around the board. And then I'm like, now your hair's falling out. Then there was a
Mhm.
time where I had to cut all her hair off. So it
Mhm.
was just it was just emotional. But like I said, I had to make sure that no matter what stage we were in,
Yeah.
they individually knew that they were beautiful, no matter what.
Yeah.
And then what's weird is that my daughter with the mixed hair wanted braids. So she wants to be able to get braids like my other daughter, and my other daughter wants perms to have straight hair. And I'm like, y'all are irking my nerves. She wants braids. She gets braids put in her hair, and is unraveling. I
Mhm.
don't know nothing about mixed hair.
Mhm. Mhm.
So
Mhm.
it's frustrating me because every time I braid her hair, I'm thinking she just playing around. Braids is unraveling. This is as soon as you do it 2 minutes later, it don't look like you did nothing. I'm not used to that type of hair. I'm used to grease and water. Her hair stay in place all day. Now the only time you come
Mhm.
out is if you playing in the grass and doing all kind of stuff. You
Mhm.
ain't got no bit taking your clothes off rough. But I'm not used to doing hair that never looks like it's done, even when it's done.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
frizzy, and then I had to deal with the different textures and lice, and like it was, you know, so going from
Yeah.
skin color to hair textures, it basically dealt with everything
Wow.
in the book, you know.
Wow.
It
And that's
dealt
not
with
something that you were prepared. You, as parents, we're not prepared for that.
no, I was definitely not, and I prayed a lot, like I said, because my mouth, you know, it could be very give it to you straight, no chaser. So,
Mhm.
but I was in prayer constantly because I was like, you know, I don't want to scar them. Um,
No.
but I want to give them the right information, and I want them to know no matter what, they're still loved. And
Yes.
I had to ask for guidance on how to deal with a mixed household.
Mhm. Yeah. And I mean, just thinking about that, Sharon, as a therapist, that's a psychological situation that a mother have to go through, not only just the mother but the child have to go through. How do you, as you know, just I know you are a licensed therapist, and your practice is in different, you in different areas, but just speaking on what Dr. Shanika just talked about, how do someone mentally get themselves to a place where they can say, okay, I'm okay with this, or this is not normal, but I got to figure it out. Like, how do you get to that space?
I think initially it takes, first of all, it takes a lot of work if you've been fed wrong messages, because what happens is we hear this recording in our mind, and it goes over and over and over again. I'm not beautiful. I'm not beautiful. I'm not beautiful. And what happens is we need to learn how to re-record over that message. So it's doing the positive affirmations. It's like Shanika said, constantly reassuring her daughters that you're beautiful, no matter what your shade is, no matter what your hair texture is. Even as my adult clients, they come in, they're still trying to change the tape of all of these messages that have been going over and over and over. I'm not good enough. I can't do this or I can't do that. So I work on what I call rewiring their brain. And in order to rewire it, you have to you need to restate or change the message. So whatever you're feeling, if you're feeling that you're not beautiful, so you have to say the opposite. I am beautiful.
Yes.
If you feel like you're not getting, if you feel like you're not doing well or you're not good enough, I tell them to say phrases like, I'm getting better and better every day. Right.
Yes.
So changing what you're telling yourself every day. And just because you've heard this for so long, and then you go down this spiral, right? It starts with, I'm not good enough. Then it's like this, it goes all the way down. And you know, the funny thing about it is, well, not so funny, but underneath all of that, the I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful, is the fear that if I'm not these things, then I won't be loved. I won't be accepted. That's the real fear.
Yeah. Mm. Wow. A fear that we all have to really deal with. And that comes from childhood trauma as well. You know, we want to go that deep, right? But thank you for sharing that. Again, we're live with Melissa Lambert, and we have these phenomenal ladies who are just amazing. We're talking about colorism through the book Woman of Color. And Monica, you listen to Monica is the visionary and of this, you know, she had this thought in mind. Let's write this book. And she gathered these beautiful queens to come together to share the power of their stories. And we went live on Wednesday and then on Thursday, and you were able to hear every person come together on one accord on this interview. Now what? What is next for you ladies? I mean, this book is now out. I mean, you guys went #1 and y'all still reigning #1. Like, okay, I really can see you ladies on platforms after platform opening up this conversation. So, Monica, like, is this what you saw when you really had the vision of bringing these ladies together? And then now we're here. And I mean, I think you guys are set to open up 2024 on air to make it like a month-to-month movement, because it's a topic that needs to be talked about.
So when a book idea came about, I think it was more in the beginning. I think it was more for me. I needed to, first of all, learn the word colorism. I needed to understand, and I needed to know, again, the role that I played within that system. Like, there was things that I needed to work through first. And I believe that's why the Lord, you know, summons me with this project, was because I needed some work done, because there was no way that he could take any of us, especially me, to the next level and being shocked when I hear the word, or being shocked by my role in what took place. Like, I needed to go through the process myself first. As we were writing the book, and the deeper we got into it, I was like, oh, ladies, this is going to go deep. This is going to go far. We're going to be on Oprah. You know, we're going to be here. We're going to be there. We're going to be on the stages of people that, you know, Tyler Perry, like they're going to be coming after us. You know, why?
Come on.
We are being vulnerable about our truth. So a lot of people tell a story, but they don't tell the truth. And I think the difference in our storytelling is that it's truth, and it's vulnerable, and it's raw, and we're saying things like, even with my chapter, all of us, but in one of my chapters it's titled Hate at First Sight, right? And it talks about, like Sharon said, it talks about even like me being a light-skinned woman, but seeing someone lighter than me and now feeling intimidated. Like, I know she ain't gonna just walk up in here like she all that. You know, like I talk about that in one of my chapters, you know, like the whole chapter is about that experience, you know, and how another person that's light like me, that had, I don't have no hair now, but I used to have hair down my back, right?
Mhm.
She was light, she had hair on her back, she was beautiful, she was sassy, but I felt intimidated, like,
Mm.
because she was lighter than me.
Mm.
So it's some levels to this that we don't want to
Mm.
talk about. We don't want to be real about. And we hide behind a lot of stuff, you know,
True.
so that people can't see the real things that we are experiencing and going through. I tell anybody, if you're going to write a book, if you're going to share a story, if you're going to be on a platform, be your authentic self, you know,
Yes.
tell the truth. And if you're not going to
Mhm.
tell the truth, then zip your lips.
Come
Don't
on.
talk at all. You know what I mean? Because people heal
Yes.
through your truth, not
They
through
do.
your lies. Because
That's
when
True.
your truth gets exposed, when all the lies you told get exposed, you have hurt
Mhm.
a lot of people. You have
True.
disappointed a lot of people. You have let down a lot of people. But when you tell the truth, it's so many people that come behind you with their truth. And they say, oh my gosh, I thought it was
Yes.
just me who felt like
Mm.
this. I thought I was the only light skinned woman that felt intimidated by a lighter light skinned woman. Like
yeah.
with me saying that, do you know how many other women that's light skinned that will come forth and say, hey, I had those same feelings, those same thoughts. With me saying I perpetuated that racist system of colorism, how many other women going to say, oh my gosh, I didn't realize that that's what I was doing. I did the same thing, you know. So your truth telling is what set people free, and what brings healing, not your lies, and not what you think it is, not what you want it to be, not your exaggeration, you know, but your truth. So I appreciate every woman that was a part of this project, shared their truth, told their truth. And I mean, it's deep, it's real, and some stuff may be a little painful for other people to read. It was painful for us to write it. So we already know it's going to be painful for some people to actually read it and just look at. Some people may look at us and say, oh, I can't believe you said that. I can't believe you thought that, you know. And for me, if you want to hold something against me that I was not aware of, you know, I can say that that's about you and not about me.
That's
So
just amazing. I love, first of all, I love where you guys put it, the collection of stories behind the
mhm,
shades, the
mhm,
shade. Like, what made that? I mean, I know the woman of color, but that actual extra subtitle, I call it, what made you guys put it in that way? Who, I mean, can anybody can jump in, like a collection of stories. I know y'all's collections of stories behind the shade. Like, you know, when you hear the word shade, you can think shade or you can
mhm.
think shade, right?
Shades,
So,
right?
so you, when you think about it, you don't know which part you're coming from, but
It's both.
it's both.
Yep.
Okay.
It's yeah, it is both. So I was always talking about stories behind the shade. One of the
Mhm.
authors in the book, our youngest author, she is the one who came up with a collection of stories behind the
Mm.
shade. You know, I had the stories behind the shade part, but she summed it up, which made it sound more collective as a group, you
I
know.
love that.
So
I love that.
yeah, she's the one who came up with that title.
But
I
doesn't
love
it
that.
also, in addition to it, like really being a collection of stories behind the
Mhm.
shade, because there are multiple shades. But I mean, we live in 2023. You know, reality TV, shade drama, that kind of thing is captivating,
Mhm.
right? And so you're reading the book because you're trying to figure out, are you talking about shade like shade of
Shade, like
like
throwing
your
shade,
shade,
yeah.
and you telling it,
Mhm.
or you talking about shade? So I mean, it's just it's captivating and it is
Mhm.
intriguing. So
It is.
I like it.
Mhm.
I like the little piece. It depends on how you know how you carry things. You carry things, you
See,
know, a certain way, then you looking for the shade or
Mhm.
you looking for the shade.
that part.
And
So
especially
we,
coming
mhm.
from six black women, you know,
Yes.
you're like a
Hmm.
collection of stories behind the shade, and we got six sisters on here.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's
Intriguing.
enticing. You know,
Yes,
yes,
it
you're like,
is.
oh,
Okay.
what is that
Let me
all
pick up
about?
this.
What
I
they
want to hear the
talking about?
shade.
Absolutely, because the thing about it is, it's not like we got the word colorism on the front of the book.
No.
You know what I
Mm-mm.
mean? On the side of the book, on the back. Like it's just when you see it, it can be very
Mhm.
captivating, because I know, and I'm not just saying this, but I know if I saw that book cover, I will want to know what's inside that book. I want to know, what do they mean, a collection of story behind the shade. I would want to read that book.
Well, also, it is
So
definitely about the shade.
it is
We
definitely about the
Black
shade.
women can be so
Mhm.
shady. I used to tell my sons as they were growing up, women can be scandalous, okay?
Ooh.
And scandalous and shady. And that's when we talk about colorism. That's what it is. When a Black woman of a darker shade and a lighter woman comes into play, she shows that shade. She throws shade, about that woman's tone.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's all about that. I had
Yeah.
You said she throws shade on the shade.
yeah, we are some shady creatures.
That part. Oh my goodness. But I love how the book, the cover of the book, the way you guys played off with the words on the book. So how do you ladies now figure this out? How are we going to bring forth this message to the masses? We started on the radio show, which is, you guys now have it where it's on all 12 top podcasts. And, the goal is to get the podcast out to everybody so they can hear the story. And also, here's the link, purchase this book, right? But more than that, what is your ideal goal when it comes to getting this message out to the massive?
I'd like to speak on that. What my goal is to get the book in the hands of into universities, into schools, so that I can that have women's studies, African American studies, so that we can look at where we've been, where we are now, and how can we get to where we need to be. Right.
Good.
I want this book to show us, just as I do in my private practice, I tell my clients, what I do is we go and look into how your past has impacted your current life. And we heal that so that you can have the life that you want. When it comes to colorism, we know where colorism comes from, right? It's internal racism. We know that this was perpetuated from slavery, right? We know the damage that is done, whether intentional or not. It has not negated the impact of what it's caused us. When we talk about healing, yes, like people like Monica, who has been one of the perpetuators of hurting people, all we can do is apologize. Your locus of control is what you can do, right? You can apologize, you can have self-compassion. I was unaware. Self-forgiveness as you move forward. And the way that you move forward is by showing up differently.
Mhm.
Once you've apologized, once you've been open and vulnerable to what we've done and what we've been, the only thing we can do is to show up differently in a more positive way. But we cannot control other people's responses. We can only control ourselves. So if we're apologizing to people and they're not in a space to accept it, that's on them, right? It doesn't mean that they're wrong. It just
Right.
means that they have to catch up. It just means
That
that
part.
they have to process their own hurts, right? So
Yes.
that's my goal, is to start in the universities, in the mental health field, and move forward from there so we can get to the healing part.
I love it. Wow. Wow.
And what I was thinking about, what was coming to me, what I've been thinking about, period, but what just came to me is, we see a lot of women of color on the big screen, right? And we see them in such a negative way. Um, People like myself is more visual. Like, I like to see things in order to understand it. I can speak about things, I can hear about things, people can tell me things, but when I see it, I almost get it. Like, oh my gosh, like, I get it now. I would like for this not for, yes, would it be nice to become millionaires? Would it be nice? Absolutely, right? But that's not what it's for. I would like for it to really be on the big screen so that people can see what it has done. Like now, if you can see now that when we watch television, it's all about slavery. A lot of slavery movies coming out. A lot of things that we have gone through in our past, is on the big screen now. Like somebody brought that
Documentaries.
pain. Yeah, somebody brought that pain and that hurt and that suffering to the big screen. And so now it didn't open the eyes of us because we experienced it, right? But it opened the eyes of the people who were doing it to us, right? And so that's what I would like for this book to be on the big screen so people can see this is what this looks like. And this is what this has caused, and if we don't change it, if we don't do anything about it, it's not going to stop. And some people, everybody ain't got thick skin. Everybody ain't got tough skin.
No.
Everybody can't handle, when they say, oh, sticks and stones may break my bones or words never hurt me. That is just false, number one, because like Dr. Shanika said, it's not true, because words do hurt and words do stick and words last forever. There are some things that were spoken to me as a child that I still remember like it was just spoken to me yesterday, but then I have to unlearn that word. Unlearn those words, unlearn the negativity that was spoken, but guess what? Everybody don't do that. Some people, they say it over and over and over and over in their head and in their mind, and then they believe it, and then they lose hope, and then they think they're worthless, they're useless, they're not going to never amount to anything. And then that's when, once all hope is gone, so is the person. So is the person. Yeah. So my goal, yes, is to get it into schools, is to get it into universities, is to get it into our churches. Because we don't want to talk about that in church, I don't want to talk about that. But it needs to be everywhere. You know what I mean? So a lot of things we don't want to talk about in church, but there's things that need to be talked about in church, need to be talked about in schools and universities, in our communities, at our jobs. It needs to be spoken about, but don't nobody want to talk about that soft topic. You know what I mean? Because it is a soft spot. Nobody wants to talk about it. Like Shanika said, we want to just ignore it. We want to act like it doesn't really exist. It's not, you still on that. That was that long ago. Yeah, but it's still affecting me as if it just happened yesterday. This morning, So that's my goal, my hope. And I am a dreamer. I am a dreamer. And I believe that it can be on the big screen so people can see, just like those slavery movies, even when I see those movies, I'll be like, oh my gosh. And whatever movie, we can hear about what Jesus did for us, how he died on the cross. But when we saw the cross, when we saw the pain he was in, when we saw the piercing in the side, when we saw all of that, it changed. I will never forget the vision. The visual of that. Never, ever, ever would I forget the visual of what that could have looked like for him. You know what I mean? And it changes the narrative of your thoughts and how you see things and how you respond and how you act. And I believe this book of colorism could do that if it's on the big screen so everybody can see. This is what we do to each other. We don't just fight each other. We don't just cuss each other out. You know what I mean? But this is what we do. And this has been deep rooted and deep seated, and it's still causing us to be in such hurt and pain and depression because of it. And if people don't see how that looks, just telling them, it's like, yeah, whatever. You know what I mean? But when you see it, it changes things. Because once you see it, you can't unsee it.
You can't. Wow.
So you can hear something. You can hear something and be like, whatever, come in, go out. But once you see it, you will never not see it again. It would just play over and over and over in your mind. So the goal is to put it on a big screen so everybody can see. Now, I don't want to play my own role because I don't want people throwing darts at me. But what I'm saying is I want to see it on the big screen.
I love it. I love it. So Juanica, how are you going to bring this to your youth? I mean, we talk about the colleges, we talk about the churches, we talk about a different organization, we talk about the big screen, but we don't want to forget these youth and the social media that's going on, how everything is just blown out of proportion for every one of us. So how can you bring this book to the young people?
Well, so I am more of a small group person, and I like close, intimate opportunities. And so I think that bringing this book or bringing the concept and the knowledge of it can help so much, because you think about, we got juvenile crime now, and it's one thing to see a fight between two boys, but those girl fights are nasty, and they've been nasty for years. It's not like it's brand new. That saying, there's nothing new under the sun, it really isn't. And so to be able to have a conversation with young people and to say, y'all two beefing, and your beefing has a lot to do with colorism. You think she better, or she thinks she better because she looks this way, and this person thinks that they're better or not as great because they look that way. But just understanding that this stuff was going on when our great grandparents were alive. And so when we give an opportunity for them to understand, this ain't new. This is not a brand new thing. Been there, done that, got a t-shirt, and I'm gonna show you how to get through it. And so this is a way for them to understand you're not the only one.
Yeah.
There are other people who've experienced this and they've overcome it. And so now we empower the younger people so that they have the tools that they need to say, you know what, my sister's going through this, or my sister's going through that. Let me help her, instead of let me just go ahead and bust upside her head. No, we don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Let's help each other. Let's empower each other. And this is a tool to be able to do that.
Wow.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Sharnika, you can jump in about how you feel that this can be very impactful in your children's school, and all that you do there. I know that you're on some of the boards or some of the different organizations, and you do a lot in your community, to be exact. So tell us, how can this book come into your community and make a change and make a difference?
I can't wait to incorporate this in different ways in a lot of the things that I do, especially when it comes to dealing with the youth, also dealing with adults, but also letting people know that, and I wish I would have put this in my chapter, that dark-skinned girls are mean girls too. Because we forget about that and throw all the shade on light-skinned people. And we forget that dark-skinned people can be bullies, they could be mean, they could be nasty, when it comes to shade. I used to be one. Because of the different color and getting teased and things like that. I grew up with this nasty attitude, and then, just like Monica was saying, when somebody else would walk in the room lighter, when a pretty dark-skinned girl walk in the room, I would look like, why is she, who she thinks she is? Oh, she thinks she's cuter than me, and she darker than me, her hair, and I used to compare too. And then I've seen other dark-skinned, beautiful women just, size other women up, be mean to other dark-skinned women. There were chocolate women, browner than me. They used to be mean to me because they wanted my complexion. So not only were people back in the day wanting to be lighter, some wanted to be my complexion, because they were too dark and they wanted to be just right. And I'm just like, it's just a never ending cycle that has to get light shed on it, because there is light on it, but it's not direct light. Everything is so indirect. It's like you'll see the documentary, you'll see the movie, where they're going, what the storyline is, but nobody really wants to say it. Everybody,
say it again.
They're just, once again, pacifying it. They're just trying to act like it doesn't exist, but bringing awareness to it without bringing awareness to it. So yeah, I definitely can't wait to talk to more youth about this. Me and my children, we wrote an affirmations book, just like Sharon was saying, with telling yourself that you're beautiful. I had adults saying those affirmations because they're universal. We have to start feeding ourselves more positive things. And even when it comes to skin tones, now I got in my head that I think I should make a skin tone affirmation. No matter what shade, I am beautiful. Like, no matter how long my hair is, no matter how short my hair is, no matter how straight my hair is, because as I said in behind the scenes, I said a lot behind the scenes, but it all starts in the it all starts in the mind. And once you get the mind, everything else will follow.
Absolutely.
We really have to unlearn a lot of stuff. There was a lot of stuff I had to learn, like I said, especially when it came to colorism. But like I said, I just breezed through it. But this book forced me to really deal with the fact that, some of the stuff that you did as a dark-skinned girl wasn't right. Some of the way you treated people wasn't right. We can't shine light on the light-skinned community. There were some of the things you said to people because of whatever shade they were that was not necessarily right. That mouth, Shanika. So, and then with these kids, I hear the way kids talk to each other. And if I had pearls on, I would be clutching them. And I'm just like, and they all attack each other's looks.
Yeah.
Every time you turn around, it's more focused on the looks, which is why I talked about in my chapter, what social media talks about, what the media represents, and how important it is to get something like this out. Because soon as kids go off, or soon as adults go off, I had a lady on the wrong side of the parking. She coming through my neighborhood. I'm trying to park. She want me to move so she could keep going. And I'm like, but I'm trying to turn into my parking spot. And what does she do? Attack my look. That's the first thing, and I'm just like, girl, if I ain't just finished writing this colorism book and get a little educated, a little more educated on, different views on certain things. And, now you're held responsible for what you know. He didn't just cuss me out and called me and I'm black and this and all. I said, wow. But that's what it is out here. So I can't wait to enlighten some people about the right way to deal with situations.
Absolutely.
And
what a great way to open up this to end the year. What a great way to end 2023 with Woman of Color, a collection of stories behind the shade. Like, to end the year with this and to start the new year with this, that's where the power lies. And I know that after the show, Wednesday show, after Thursday show, now your family heard it, your friends heard it, other people, my audience, we all heard about how colorism really exists back then, exists now, and will continue to exist because we need to talk about it. We want to be able to prepare everybody. I mean, I know that we can't really prepare everybody, but we need to talk about it. And we did, right? So how do we help people through this conversation, especially for those who might have listened to the show? After the show, they actually decided to, I'm about to get this book and read this book. How do you help them now? I know we talked about through their trauma. I know, Sharon, you said, let's journal. Let's have this conversation. But we want to be able to allow them to understand it's okay. Are you guys creating a Facebook group, just Women of Color, where we can create a community to just talk about it? I think it has to have somewhere, I call it a safe space where we're not judging, we're not criticizing, we're not calling the names. Sharon said, vocalize it,
Mhm.
write it down, get a journal, like, but having that community space also bring
Mm.
awareness like your book has. But would you guys even think about doing something in that sort?
Yes,
I mean, now
Absolutely.
that you brought it to our attention, you can see all of our heads are nodding like, I didn't even think of that. But that's why two heads is always better than one. And in this case, it's five. So I think that would be because there's so many Facebook groups about so many
right.
different things. But to have a Facebook group on things that we're really dealing with. I'm not saying the stuff that's on there, we're not dealing with that type of stuff, but to really to talk about internalized issues. A lot of
Yeah.
things that we have on Facebook, a lot of groups is more surface things. I think that we need to talk more about things that are deep rooted that don't
Mhm.
nobody want to talk about. Like you ain't got no Facebook groups about colorism, ain't no Facebook groups about incest, ain't no Facebook groups about being raped. Like you don't see that type of stuff that people are really dealing with.
Mhm. Mhm.
We need to have this type of a group on Facebook,
Absolutely.
because so many people like myself, needs to be educated and needs to be aware, and they need to
Yes.
understand exactly what we're doing one to another.
Yeah.
It goes so beyond. Oh, you black, this, that, and the other, or you think you're because you like. It goes when you say all that, we walk away
Mhm.
with those words. And we
Mhm.
take those words home and we take those words in our sleep. And then we wake
Mhm.
up and then we're angry and then we're mad. And then we take those words into relationships, into
Mhm.
friendships, into family
Mhm.
ships, the job. We take it
Yeah.
everywhere. So it don't
Yeah.
stop
That
because you
part.
said it that day for 1 second. Oh, it,
Yeah.
it goes deep down and it comes out
Absolutely.
it erupts in so many situations.
Yes.
So that's what we need to be talking about.
I
Yes.
agree.
Real issues, things that
Mhm.
we're really dealing with. Like we talked
Yeah.
about church. Yes,
Mhm.
Daniel was in the lion's den. That's nice, right?
Mhm.
But we
Mhm.
need to talk about the lion's den that we are in right now.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
That
Nobody want
part.
to talk
Oh,
about
don't
that.
take us to church right now. Come on
Oh,
now.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was. I'm sorry.
That's a whole nother
Yeah,
Zoom.
that's what I'm saying. Girl, it just came out. It just came out. You know how stuff just come out.
Mhm. I love it. I mean, but again, you ladies did something, and I want you guys, I'm so honored. I say that to you ladies in private, but it was an honor to serve you on purpose, to see what you ladies have put together in a book, to see you ladies come together on one accord and be able to execute such great interviews. And to see you ladies continue to take this mantle, take this mission, and begin to now let the message be told. And let's
Mm,
talk about it. Now that's the next level now. Now let's open up the conversation. Let's create a safe space. Now let's go from city to city, to state,
city, state.
to
Mm,
country, and let's
mm,
have this
mm,
conversation. Now that's an impact that y'all gonna
mm.
make. So
Mm.
I
Come on.
truly believe that you ladies have that in your hands is what you will do with it. It's what's gonna matter.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
want
I don't
to
want it
say,
to
you
be. I
ladies,
don't
do
want it to
it,
be that we
please.
just wrote a. Yeah, I don't want it to be. We just wrote a book. That was nice. I want to
Mhm.
do something with it because this is an impactful book. It's a
Absolutely.
beautiful book. I don't want it to just set one out in our bookshelves and collect dust. I
No,
really want
no.
us to do something with it, whether we do it collectively or we do
Mhm.
it individually. I want us to do something with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I really see you ladies in the islands. And the reason why I say the islands, I'm from Jamaica. It may not sound like it, but I am Jamaican. I was born and raised in Jamaica, then got into Jersey. And from Jersey, I'm in the South. I have a lot of different accent, y'all. This time is the country one. So one of the things I see you
See,
ladies
it's too
doing is
much.
going to Juanika's. I know Juanika's like this short sister better sit down somewhere. And she's standing up. So I see you ladies in the islands, especially my country, because bleaching is a big thing in the
Yes.
islands. I
In
have
Africa
multiple
too.
family members that totally bleached from head to toe. One that looked just
Ooh.
as dark as me, she looks now as light as Monica through bleaching. And she actually sell the products as a product for her community, the stylist. So it's more than America, y'all. Listen to me. This is the ground. Yes, you in America, but it's beyond America because colorism didn't start here.
So remember when you asked me the question about would I change anything and I mentioned bleaching? That is exactly where I got it from. Because you know, I have some West Indian background myself. Trinidadian, Jamaican, you know, we mixed all up in there. And I would see a lot of Jamaican artists getting bleached. And because I was dark skinned growing up, I was like, oh, I wanted to look into bleaching my skin. And that's where I got the idea from the islands.
Wow.
Yeah. And my family, we like literally, I grew up on Abbey. It's a cream. I grew up on that because you know they would say, okay, yeah. So we used to
I use that soap and everything.
Yes, I used that on my skin because again, I wanted to. My skin was I had like dark skin, but like there's certain parts I wanted to, bleach, not bleach out, but even out. But that's what we grew up on, right? So I really feel very soon, and I feel it in my bones. Who, ladies, y'all gonna step the grounds of the Caribbean islands. Truly step the grounds of the Caribbean islands because it's a message. Because guess what? Bleaching is still rampant in the islands. Why? Because in the island, we feel that lighter is better.
Yeah. Quick story in Africa. This is so crazy.
No, she didn't go get her creams.
He got
when it got the
throw it away.
I got the old school one, the red color one.
Yeah, Ambi.
The Ambi's boy. Telling you. Go ahead, Sharon. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was gonna say I was watching this documentary about colorism in Africa. Speaking of bleaching, it's very prevalent in Africa, along with the hair. And they were interviewing the men, and the men said they prefer. There's this idea that men want lighter women, and it's so ridiculous. But it's like, yeah, I want a lighter woman because at night I can be able to, I can feel her, I can see her more, like I can see her at night. I'm like, dude, turn the light on. But I mean,
thank you.
I mention it because it's so ridiculous. The thoughts, the ideas, the philosophies that have been passed down. And then they say, oh, well, they don't want darker women because we're too sassy. Lighter women are more, more submissive, more subdued. The darker women cause more trouble. These are the lies.
Kind of pause right here
they
because
just ain't never had this light skin one.
Was like, wait.
Right. This is in Africa.
She said this is Africa.
They would kick me out of the island.
Let's be clear. Let's be clear.
I would be banned from the islands.
But it's just these thoughts that are perpetuated. But women take these thoughts, take this ridiculousness and internalize it. Absolutely. And start believing, oh, I have to bleach my skin so that I can be wanted.
But it's the truth, though. That's what they feel. That's a psychological issue that's faced. That's why I'm saying to you, ladies, and not because we're on camera, I can't really speak everything I want to say, but I really, really see you, ladies, blazing the trail in the Caribbean and in Africa. And if you want the open door to Africa, I got Ghana for you, you know, because I truly believe this message. We have to awaken our sisters that they are beautiful, they are loved, and that they are important. And it got to come from another sister to let them know, listen, you don't got to change who you are for nobody. Love you first, embrace you first, accept you first, the way you are. That's where you guys come in. And I think that this book was just a stepping stone, just a stool. It's like y'all didn't even get over yet. You know, y'all stepping on the first step on this process. And I truly believe this interview was the next step. The third step is creating a community. The fourth step is getting those invitations.
Wow.
The fifth,
Come on here.
and get it done.
Come on here. Come on here.
Yeah.
Love it. Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
You ready?
I was just looking up visas last night. I'm so serious. It's in my phone.
Listen, I'm excited. So tell her before we now close it in. Again, everybody, you are listening to Melissa Lambert. We are live with these phenomenal ladies. They wrote this book, y'all, Woman of Color, right? The collection. Of stories
Behind the shade. The collection of stories behind the shade.
We have a couple of shades going on in that book, okay? The good shade and the bad shades, okay? But they share their truth, and that's what's so powerful about this book. That's what's so powerful about these authors, and they are truly ladies that y'all need to invite to your platform to speak. These ladies that got to come into your community, come into your organization, come into your cities, your states, and your country to really talk about it. We're going to have dialogue. It's not, I feel like I see them on panels. Like I see you guys doing roundtable, just like how, what's her name? Jada Pickett does the red table. Y'all going to have the purple. We can do the purple table, the paper table.
Brown table. We were supposed to do a brown table.
Remember we were supposed to do a brown table. Let's make it a black table.
We're gonna have
Let's
different
just
shades.
make the table different shades.
No, just
make
the table different shades. Table of different shades.
Mosaic.
The shades table.
The shade table.
We're gonna call it the shades table.
Shade table. Come on. Come to the shade table, right? I love that.
Love it.
Shade table talk. Like
the shade table talk is coming to a city near you. The shade table talk is coming to a city, a state, and a country near you. So, ladies, go ahead and tell us, how can we reconnect back with you, ladies? We can talk. Start with Dr. Shanika. You can go ahead. Just tell us about how we can connect back with you. How they can follow you, and then we just kind of close it in and with Sharon.
Okay. I was writing shade table talk down. You could connect with me via email, moreshanika@gmail.com. Facebook, Shanika Moore. I keep everything, plain and simple. Instagram and TikTok, Nika Speaks, because I'm going to speak.
Thank you. Go ahead, Monica.
And you can connect with me at info@IamThatMonica.com. You can connect with me on my website at Women of Truth, CO after the word truth.com. You can also connect with me on Facebook, Monica Williams, published author.
Awesome. Juanica.
You can connect with me on Facebook at Juanica Ballard. You can connect with me on Instagram as Juanica B _007 and TikTok, Juanica B. I also have a website. You can see at info@eaglesandowlsconsulting.com.
Wonderful. And Sharon, close us in.
All right. So you can reach me at info@purplerain.com. I have a website called Purple Rain Counseling. .com. On that page, there's a resources tab for mental health, also blogs for more information or on different mental health topics that could help out. So, yep, website is Purple Rain Counseling, as well as my Instagram and Facebook.
Wow. Thank
Can
you
you
so much.
can you spell purple like rain so they can know that it's not
Purple
RAIN?
Rain.
Well,
Rain.
all of those letters ain't
REIGN.
showing.
Rain. REIGN.
Wow. As y'all can tell, these ladies are true sisters, and I love their energy. I love their togetherness, and we won't have them leave out with a word. What's your word to like? I mean, we talked about word. We had our phrase and we had our word on Wednesday and Thursday, but today I want y'all to give us something fresh. We want to come off the top of our head. What is your word? Don't say travel, Dr. Shanika. I know you're gonna say travel. Mine's is travel because I'm about to get the passports. Let me know the
I can start with my word. I can start with you. Okay. Do you have your word, Shanika?
Yes,
do you have your word?
Okay. Word. Power.
Why?
Because everything we do has power attached to it. It's all on how we use it, what we do with it. But regardless, we have power.
Power. I love it.
Love it. Love it.
I love it.
All right. Go ahead, Monica. Power it is.
My word is accountability. I think that it's time that we start owning our stuff and be accountable for our own selves and stop worrying about making other people accountable for their stuff and their mess. Be accountable for your own.
Come on. Love it. Love it. Come on, Monica.
My word is evolve. If you look at evolution, we see how there's some adaptation and things like that happens as we evolve and become better, stronger people.
Wow. Love it. Sharon.
My word is forgiveness. We have to learn how to forgive ourselves first and forgive others, keeping in mind that forgiving others is for ourselves. And that's where healing can begin.
Wow. And I'm going to close it in with collaboration. It is time. It is time to collaborate. It's time to come together. It's time to work together and build something with each other. Just as these ladies came together on one accord to share their stories, share their truths, share the power behind the shade. It is time for us to come together, collaborate, work with each other, call on each other, invite each other, and celebrate each other. So thank you, ladies, for taking the time out of your busy schedule to be on here. I mean, I'm hoping that whoever is watching it now, watching it later, have been inspired and would love to connect back with each and every one of you. And when the community is up, I want him to join the community because it's time to have this conversation. So until next time, ladies, I want y'all to all take care, take charge. And ladies and everyone that's watching and the gentlemen, y'all need to be great. So we're going to close out for today. Let me stop all the recordings.